Hi and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing great. So, as in the previous chapter 2, we have explained about what is business environment and the needs, characteristics, importance. Also, along with that, the most important part is the components of business environment, right? Today in chapter, let me explain you in chapter 3, unit 3, chapter 3, that is economic environment in India. We are going to understand. First of all, tell me, I have explained you previously, what is economy? Economy means it is a process of flow, whether money, production, distribution, supply, demand, employment are developed. That means the flow of money and the development of a country when it is processing because of the policies formulated by the government institutions, that development of a country is called economy. Okay, this is just a layman meaning. You can always go for definitions for writing it down properly. Okay, so what do you mean economic environment in India? That means that economic reforms. Okay, this is very important. We are going to teach today economic reforms in India. That means what are the changes in policies that help in growing the economy of India will be discussed today. Okay, so in economic environment in India means what are the policies, economy policies that has helped the India to grow eventually. So in 1947, please hear it properly. In 1947, what was 1947? So 1947 very important. Why was it important for India? Independence, right? India got independence, and then the government of India have decided that after 1947 we will be the one who will regulate strictly the economy of India. So there are most important three types of economy. In nutshell, I am going to explain. One is capitalist economy, second is mixed economy, and second is socialist economy, third is mixed economy. What is capitalist economy? So capitalist economy means that it is being controlled by privatization. What do you mean by privatization? It means that the private institutes have more freedom and the liberty to control the economy of the particular country. What is the example? Which country can be an example of capitalist? USA. USA is mostly being run by the privatization. That's why they are also very developed. So inequality is very less. They are very developed. They are very business minded. Profitability. Those countries only believe in that thing. Okay, capitalist economy. Now socialist economy. So I am explaining it because socialist economy is based on what? Government regulation. That means that government power. Okay. So now India is mixed economy. Mixed means capitalist and socialist both are present. That means government is also controlling some sectors like railway sectors. Okay, they are controlled by the government itself, right? So, but however, like previously in 1947, government has decided that now we are going to regulate and supervise the licensing process strictly to register the private companies, and foreign investing was very difficult at that time. So in 1947 government has used the economy socialist. That means that they were only focusing on some freedom were given to agricultural sectors. Agricultural sector was also regulated by government, but they were given the freedom that local peoples are only focusing on the agriculture. So what happened? The economy was doomed. So economy went down. Inequality, poverty increased after independence in India because of the strictness. What happened before 1947? Foreign country have UK have regulated India, right? So the government was not feeling secure to do such things. So that's why they say that we will not go for globalization or privatization. Import export were strictly being supervised, and it was so difficult difficult to do business with the foreign institutes. So what happened? The money flow, it decreased. When you do not actually trade in dollar, that is global currency that we trade in, all of us, or in any other, when you go to the deal with the abroads, we get tax, right? We actually increase our money value because we tend to sell it, or sometimes we buy it for the development and technology. Now we are not giving any access. That means what? It was blocked. India blocked, government blocked those kind of development after 1947. That's why India faced a major crisis of finance in the country. Agriculture sector was not booming that way, technology was not developed, poverty increased. So after a certain while, they came into a conclusion, that is 1991, economic reform 1991, okay. In 91, they have come with a new policy for the development of India, and from there the development started. So first, there are 5 to 6, I think, let me check, okay. There are 5 reforms. We are going to discuss in details the 5 reforms, and these will come in long-term questions. This has the probability, so please listen to it very carefully. Economic environment. So here it is written, in 1991, the government of India accepted liberalization as its policy and has opened up the economy. That means they have eased the economy for the foreign, and also in India the privatization for the peoples of India. Okay. So then it is the business enterprise in India have realized the importance and impact of economic environment on their working. So there was a component I said in business environment, economic environment. This is what is economic environment. The example, you can see how economic policies had a major impact after 1947, and how it had a very good impact after 1991, when government has decided to ease the policies of financial policies to grow the economy. Okay, this is a major factor. That means, right, it had changed the environment of the country, that is the businesses of the country. Okay, so the steps that government had taken was, since 1991, the following measures of economic reforms has been initiated by the government of India. That means this is the first economic reform policy. Economic environment was what? In component of economic environment, I have taught you that it is about the policies, right? Right policies for demand, supply, availability of product. There should be money flow for the development of the economy. Then only the business will grow, right? So that sort of reforms were being initiated by government as well for business development. Okay, so first is new industrial policy. So this was the first policy in 1991. Remember the date, okay? 1991 economic reform, first policy, new industrial policy. That means industrial policy was again reformed, that means changed, so that India industrial sector can grow. So what were the changes? The licensing of several industries. That means the licensing process was very strict in India previously, before 1991, after independence. But now in 1991, they have come with the conclusion to develop the economy and the business, that they are going to de-license the policy. That means that like industries or the businesses that a owner in India can operate is with simple process. Government regulation was decreased and government power towards a certain licensing registration was eased a little bit, so that the industries can operate freely, the business can operate freely without much interference and restrictions. What will happen then? They can easily operate, they can focus on business rather than when wandering around for registration, for licensing, right? So that's why the licensing of several industries was the first change in this new industrial policy. Okay. The second is abolition of industrial registration scheme. So I have mentioned now registration. So registration was mandatory. After licensing also you have to go through the registration process, and it was very tough. Government will monitor, government will regulate, supervise. That becomes very difficult for a business organization to run the business. So that was also being abolished. That means that was cancelled. You do not need it. The freedom was given to operate the business, the private owners. Okay. Now replacing FARA Act. What do you mean by FARA? That means Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. That means that this act actually in 1973. FARA Act was for 1973. This was replaced to FEMA that was established in 1999. That means Foreign Exchange Management Act. So Foreign Exchange Regulation Act said that there will be regulatory even if foreign investment comes to India. So that becomes what? Very restrictive. Like very restrictive. Then if you have to give lots of documents, licensing process. If the process and the registration to enter into a country becomes very difficult, then what happens? They do not enter into a certain market. So you have to give also a little bit of liberty and a easy process to get access to certain business investment, because foreign institute, why they will invest if you are complicating the things? You have to ease the things, because you are going to attract the money from in dollars, right? You will have development because of that. So why will they invest if you are not giving them a little bit of priority and benefit? So that's why they have replaced the FARA, and FEMA is mostly a very easy access process where management of foreign exchange was there. That means the currency transactions, exchange of currency, it became very easy from FARA to FEMA. Okay, FEMA basically focused on easing the process for the foreign exchange transaction, for import and export also, not only for investment purposes, so that you can easily export and gain in dollar. You can also, I would say, sometimes import the technology advancement and software development, I would say the software development or the technology advanced process and operation of business. Okay, you gain the copyright of certain advanced softwares so that you can develop in India also to cope up with the exchange. And then transactions global transactions, US dollar I have said. Okay, currency, that means US dollar exchange has become very easy now because of FEMA. So these are the changes that has been made. Now curtailing the role of public sector. That means that public sector, that means government sector, had a very huge I would say a supervision, and they were controlling the businesses in the industrial policies and processes. Okay, now with the help of new industrial policy, they have curtailed. That means they have backed out from the role of being very controlling. Socialist mixed economy was changed to mixed economy, where capitalist and the socialist, that means private and government, were ruling in a separate ways. Some of them were the sectors that government was dealing with. Apart from that, India decided to go to privatization, and they backed out from the role of being a 100% public sector to 50% public sector at the time. Okay. So disinvestment of government equity in public sector. This is also same. That means that they have disinvested. There were sectors where government had, suppose I would say 90% stake. Now they are all backing out and saying that I will take only 50% stake, and 50% will be private company, that is going to be private ownership. They are giving it to public. Okay, so I will explain in details in capital market reform, where they have decided how to raise funds from capital also. Sorry, public also. So this kind of changes, why it came, like in stock market. Today we can also buy shares. Foreign investment institutes directly can invest in companies by a capital market. Okay. So why that is? Because that helps in raising the fund, that helps in boosting the economy, and the business operation functions smoothly. Okay. So that's why they have disinvested the government equity. Equity means what? Shares, ownership, share of a company. You will learn it in like in first year you might have learned it, or in accountancy also will learn preference and equity share. So this is equity share, that means the ownership shares. They have backed out and given it to the private sectors for ruling and processing the business. So privatization brings lots of development, you know. That's why they have backed out and they have decided, for example, I am saying before it was like 90%, now 50%. Sometimes even 10 to 20%, now they have 10 to, you know, like carry forward. Apart from that, they are giving it to the private for the growth and development. So these were some industrial policies, that was new industrial policies that were being reformed in 1991. Okay. Now, the second will be new trade policy. New trade policy. So I am going to rub it up and write down the point for the new trade policy. Even you do not have to explain the delicensing, what is delicensing, what is abolition, what is FERA, FEMA, disinvestment, how many percent, what percent. You do not require it. But you need to at least understand the meaning of each and every point and also write down this point under new industrial policy. And then in new trade policy also there will be points that you have to write it down. Okay, this will come for long answer. I will show you, I will just give you the key learning is here. There is a question saying what measures of economic reforms. Listen carefully. What measures of economic reforms has been initiated by the government of India since 1991. So in that question you have to write these 5 points there, this point, 1 and sub points, 2 new trade policy sub points, 3rd, 4th, 5th and sub points. Okay, so let me quickly rub it up and write the second point and then the sub points, and I will explain it clearly to you. So you can see now I have written it down. New trade policy. What do you mean by trade? Import and export. That means you are trading and exchanging in foreign. Okay, foreign currency. So that is going to be, not only that is trade, you can trade it here also in domestic, but basically this trade policy was for the import and export purpose. Okay, so here removing of licensing of imports. What do you mean by imports? That means that we can't buy products from the foreign countries. Like software development, technologies and all, they were mostly advanced in the developed countries like USA, UK, right? So if we do not get the access for those developed like materials, then we cannot proceed further for you know, likely quality business. So for quality business we need to import. So that's why government has realized that lately, and they have come into a new policy, trade policy, which says the removing of licensing of imports. That means license and a strict regulatory documented process that is required for importing was being eased. Now it was said that it is being removed. You can easily import goods for your business operations smoothly. Okay, developed goods. Now abolition of export duties. That means that while we export, small sectors also have some quality products that they can export. But however, if duties are imposed, will they be motivated to export? So what will be the profit? You will have to deliver the product also. They also will impose some tax, the foreign countries. You as a domestic government is in domestic also government is imposing tax. While you are exporting also government is imposing tax. It will actually you know, not increase the profitability of a particular sector. So to you know, motivate the peoples to do business and run the business effectively, to you know, earn money in like you know, foreign exchange, foreign currency, to earn money in foreign currency, to develop the money flow and increase the value of rupee. What government did? Government removed export duties. So this government policy has motivated the small firms and also the larger firms to export without being paying tax to the government of India. Okay. So now simplifying the export procedure. That means before licensing registration process, every time you have to wander around into the government departments to get the approval. These things were little bit ease, documentation process was ease, so that export procedure becomes easy. So it was simplified. Okay, cheaper export credit. That means that you have been as a owner of a domestic, like in India, I am an owner of a particular business. So I have been provided cheaper credit. That means government was boosting and motivating the owners to export. So for that they were also being provided credit in cheaper. That means interest rate was reduced for those owners who were having an idea to export, for which it was a motivation for the small firms and the owners of the business to produce the products so that they can export more with credit. That means loan were also provided for the operation of the business. You have an idea, you can do the business, and that too you have to pay interest less. That too your tax will also be reduced. The duties, export duties. Licensing process was eased. So what else do you need? You can go export, you can earn profit from it, and then when the profit increases, you will develop the grow the business, and then when you grow, you will hire employees. Okay, when you export also, if your export increase or grow in a certain country, you are going to hire employees, right? So that way money flow in a certain country increase, that is money flow in India will increase. So that's why government, when realize these changes are required, they tend to come with a new policy. That is second point, that is new trade policy, under which removing of licensing for import, export duties was reduced, simplifying the export procedure. That means licensing process was also simplified for export as well. Then cheaper credit was also provided. Right, interest, you have to pay less for the credit of capital to run a business in export business. I hope you are clear about this. Now the third point, we are going to write it down and the sub points. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, now you can see the third point, fiscal reform. That means that reforming taxation reforms. What do you mean by reforming taxation reforms? That means that taxation process was again reformed, and the new taxation says that the tax will be reduced, import and export duties, that is the tax will be reduced. Okay, and then substantial reduction in export and import. You can see reduction of the tax duties on export and import. This kind of new taxation and collection of tax that was eased a little bit has helped the private owners to go for more business in export. Okay, motivated to export and import more for the development of the business. The tax and the duties were reduced for this. This also helped in what? The boosting the morale of the I would say people who wanted to do a business. We are doing a business currently running. There are also people who will like to do business in future. So tax reduction and then import export duties when reduced, this has motivated the people, the private owners and also the potential owners to come and do business. Okay, that helps in growing the economy. So the reduction of fiscal deficit. What do you mean by fiscal deficit? That means the government is expenditure is more than the income. That is deficit. Now how you will reduce that, reduction, saying the deficit, fiscal deficit, how will you reduce it? By boosting the revenue. That means income generation and the revenue should be more than the expenses. How it will happen? When the businesses grows, when the policies says in the financial policies that it will help in the supply and demand and a particular product availability, employment that has to increase in a particular country. Money flows to increase. How it will happen? They have that's why come into conclusion for tax reduction, which has direct link with the export-import duties reduction, which boosts the morale of the private owners and the potential people or owners to do business in export and import, and deal with foreign currency for increasing the money flow of a country. Okay, that actually tend to reduce the fiscal deficit. You got the point now? So this is the fiscal reform policy, that is third point. Fourth point is monetary reform. Let me quickly rub it up and write the sub points here for monetary. Okay, so now you can see the fourth point, that is monetary reform. Monetary reform means these are the policies that were reformed for the monetary purpose. Money flow. What do you mean by monetary? That means financial regulation, government regulatory board, that is being RBI, government regulatory board, for banking system and for the money supply purpose. RBI regulates this monetary purpose or the financial institutions for the money flow, for the development of the economy, right? So monetary reform means a money or it is a system that is reformed, that is the policy, the money policies that is regulated by the government board, that is RBI, for the flow of money, supply of money, economy development. Okay, so this reform says that reduction in SLR, that is statutory liquidity ratio, that is SLR. Remember, statutory liquidity ratio. Okay, this RBI regulates the banking system and the money supply, as I mentioned. Now, banking system has various commercial banks. Okay, so RBI says to the commercial banks, to the financial institution banks, that before SLR was high, SLR means liquid asset. That means that can be easily converted to cash. It can be cash in the cash form only. It can be government bonds. It can be gold. Okay, they have to keep it. That asset, that is a capital, right? You have to keep in larger amount for the safety purpose. Commercial bank, that is banking institution, have to keep it. But now the monetary reform 1991 say the reduction in SLR. That means that SLR, that policy was reformed. Now RBI has stated you can reduce the capital, like liquid asset, SLR ratio. That means you can reduce the capital that previously it was. So suppose now what happened, as an impact of reducing the SLR, the banking sector has the authority and it were allowed to easily give loans with minimum or reduction of interest in loan to the customers. Okay, how it happened? Because SLR was reduced, cash flow is more now. They can provide loan easily with less interest also now because SLR is reduced. So that way business increase in banking sector, while you can give more capital as a loan or as a credit to the people will provide you interest. So that is a profit for the banking sector. That also helps in increasing the money flow. Business will increase, business will grow, interest will be provided to banking sector. Then people growth will also have, when they have cash in hand more, they will invest more again in bank, FD, right? FDs, recurrings, savings account. So what happened exactly if you is like RBI or the regulatory board of government, if is those kind of policies, then what happened? Commercial bank can function properly. So that was the motive of RBI, and that's why they reduced the SLR. You know now what is SLR? SLR means liquid asset that you have to keep in hand as a business banking sector for the safety purpose of the customers. Okay, suppose I am saying there is a crisis in a bank, a particular bank has a major loss and they are now in downfall. So to protect that kind of scenario, there is a extra liquid asset which can be utilized when that kind of crisis or the losses happens. Okay. Okay, so that the investor, the customers who have done FD and they have invested money on bank has not to go into certain scenario when they feel insecure. FD are the most secure form. Why FD are secure form? Because bank provide promises that we will pay interest if you give us money. Right? That money is utilized for money flow, businesses and all for the bank by the banking sector. That if you do not provide that kind of assurance, what will happen? People will invest. No, people will not invest long term in FDs. So for that, banking sector needs to keep an extra side capital, that is liquid asset. So those liquid asset was a little bit eased and reduced. It was very high, for which commercial bank had low cash to run the business. Now they have more cash to run the business. When the cash is more to run the business, you can give loan also. They will provide interest because the creditors will. Okay, sorry. Banking sector is going to be the creditors and debtors will be the people who will take the loan. Okay. Now, as a debtor, you will be. I am the owner of the business. I am the debtor. I have taken the loan, credit. Okay. Now I have to pay back to the creditor, the banking sector. If the creditor itself do not have money, where will they run the business? They will not be able to run the business. So to run the business, SLR was reduced. That's why I got the money. I am also boosting my business, and then when I am profitable, I pay back the capital with loan. That is a kind of profit for the banking sector also. So that's why they reduce the SLR, allowing the setting up of new private sector. That is new private banking sector. In monetary reform, banking policies comes. So RBI said that, government said that we will be setting new private sectors. That means we will be providing, authority and access to the private owners to run private sector banking. So this what was the impact? Now there is competition. Private and public are competing together. Now nationalized bank are also competing, right, with the private. They also have the same target of new development of technologies, customer friendly services, and they have to cope up with the private sector so that they can run the business. So private sector, when the government allowed, that actually become a competition for the public sector banks. So they are coping up together. Private always grows. Why? Because they know that there is a security. We have to grow or we will be in loss and nobody will recover our loss. So that's why they actually work very hard. If you see public sector works hard, but they have a security. So for that purpose only, to boost up and motivate to I would say, take the ideas and the changes from the private sector, they have allowed private sector banking in the business. So that public sector can learn from the private and compete healthy competition. Okay. Equity, okay, this is allowing nationalized bank to raise additional equity. What do you mean by equity? I said share. So nationalized bank, that is the banks of the you would say that is under government, were allowed to raise equity, that is fund from the stock market, capital market. That means in stock market there is an option called you can raise fund from the public. First IPO will there. After IPO, you have already given some shares to the public, that means in IPO. Now that what happens is that now nationalized bank can directly sell their shares to the public in stock market or to the foreign investors or to the domestic investors, so that investors can buy, and this way nationalized bank can raise funds. So what happened? They were mostly relying on the public, I would say, on the government. Okay. So government was regulating the banks. Now if there is any crisis, then what happened? Government has to deal with it. It is an expense, right? So for that, government came with a reform which said that my government organizations of the sectors in banking have their own shares. They can sell it to the public. Okay, so that we don't have to pay, the public pay the funds. When I am in stock market, I do swing trading. So what I do is, I am an investor. So suppose when there is like in a news that IPO is coming, I kind of like what I do is I allot myself, sorry, I register for the IPO. If I get it, okay, sometimes initial public offer, that means the first percentage of share that is being like sell to the public. So public will buy. When public will buy, they will give the capital to the like certain institute, right? So banking sector is same, like nationalized banks have provided this access so that they can raise fund from the public. Now as an investor also, after IPO, you can buy as much as you want the shares from the company or the banking sector. Union Bank, Bank of Baroda, ICICI Bank, SDFC Bank, and then Equitas Bank, Small Finance Bank. There are lots of banks who are who sell off their like some percentage of their, I would say, equity shares to the public. So they are in stock market now, and even I have also shares of those particular banks. So that way what happened, when I buy, I give the like capital to them. They are using the capitals. When there is profit with that capital, we can retain the profit. We get dividend also for that. Okay. So this is called that they have allowed the nationalized bank to do their needful to raise the fund as per their convenience. That means they have given the ease and the authority to raise fund from selling the shares on stock market and go to the capital market directly, that is stock market, and raise fund from the public. So that help in boosting the capital. If they need capital, they can sell the shares now. So these kind of changes have improved the operation of the business of banking sector, and that has directly helped in developing the economy, that is money supply. Okay, I hope you got the point. Now the last is capital market reform. Capital market reform means that we'll talk about the share on the stock market. You can see now I have written it down in the board, the last economic reform, that is capital market reform. Capital market means stock market. Okay, with the help of which we can company can raise fund from the public, like investors, like I can be an investor, you can be an investor, big institution, foreign institutions, like from foreign investors you can directly attract and invest in companies that I or they like. That will help the company to run the business properly whenever there is required for funds by selling their shares. Okay. So now the first is SEBI, that is Security Exchange Board of India, regulatory board, was formulated in 1992. Okay, remember the date, 1992. And why SEBI was being established as a statutory or a regulatory board? To protect the public, investors, and also fair trade practices. There can, as it is money, when money is there, unfair trade practices, money laundering, everything comes. So to protect those kind of mishappening, fair trade practices and the safety of the investors, this regulatory board was formulated by the government. So this regulatory board ensures that the stock market runs smoothly without any fraudulent practices. So this kind of security board is required. Why it was reformed? Because they know that foreign investors will be coming to invest in companies in the stock market of India or in Indian companies. Now if there is fraudulent practices, will they come and invest? No, they will not risk with the money. And when there is no investment by the foreign investors, then what happens is that your economy will decrease. There is a capital that is required, the fund that is required by a company will not be provided, or you will not get it at the rightful time for the functioning of the business. So to have a good flow of money, good flow of business fund, for that purpose SEBI was been formulated. Okay, now allowing FDIs, that means that foreign direct investment. Regulatory board capital market reform has said that foreign direct investment was being allowed in capital market in India, so that they can directly come and invest in companies. This will what happen, become a partnership. When there is partnership, globalization, if there is a partnership, they will give their technologies, you can boost your business. That will actually help in operating the business properly, advancement and development in the society, and then you can export for the quality goods that you have produced for the advancement in the technologies, which will help in attracting foreign currencies. That will also increase the money flow, value of the rupee, right? It has a interlink, it's a loop. Okay, so allowing private sector to set up MF. MF means mutual fund. What is now mutual fund? I love this because I'm also an investor, so I love this kind of terms. It might be a little complicated for you, but as a commerce student, you should learn stock market and you should also learn this particular terms. Okay, it is very interesting. Mutual fund means it is a long-term investment. This is a fund. What happens is, now let me introduce you to Nifty 50. Okay, Nifty 50, Nifty 500, Nifty 100. So these are some benchmark. That means Nifty 50 means that this is a benchmark index where 50 topmost company are being associated. That means that 50 companies comes under Nifty 50, this index, in this index. Now suppose UTI Nifty 50, Unit Trust of India, that is one of the oldest public sector asset management company. What is asset management company? The companies who actually kind of open the demat account and deal with the stock market. Okay, your demat account, that is like, suppose I want to enter into the market, I want to invest in mutual fund. Now what happens is, broker apps are also there, but suppose I am saying SDFC. Now SDFC is there. Before UTI was only there. UTI is government asset management company. There you can open a demat account. That is that you are going to invest in mutual fund. So mutual fund is a group of fund where topmost companies shares are being provided. That means that topmost, suppose saying that I have actually invested in UTI Nifty 50, Unit Trust of India Nifty 50. That means what? Large cap, that is 50 topmost company I have invested. Different companies will have different percentages of shares in that fund. So in that particular fund you can invest. An asset management company will run that fund. Okay, so I am saying now that private sector, that means that before UTI was public sector. Okay, now capital market reform has came up with a idea, a policy that private sector asset management company can also now set up mutual fund. That means that what happened, that in fact best of best mutual funds came into the operation now. So now ICICI has their mutual funds, HDFC has mutual funds, Nippon Asset Management Company has their mutual funds. They also came up with mutual funds. UTI also have mutual funds. Quant have mutual funds. So these companies, UTI is public, but Quant, HDFC, ICICI, why they came up with mutual funds? Because they have been given the access that now we can also have our mutual fund, ICICI can also have mutual fund, and we will sell the mutual funds to the public, that is to us. long-term investment. So in this investment, when you invest and provide the capital, you will gain lots of money when the companies will grow. Companies in further, in future will always grow. Before, suppose if I bought a share in a certain price of 600, now it is 800, 900 rupees. So how that changed thing? Because profitability. When I will invest as a public in those shares of that is sell off by the companies, when they are in profit, I have profit. When they are in loss, I also have loss. Okay. So basically, mutual fund is group of companies. So one company, two company, if it also goes in loss, it will not have impact in your investment or in your capital in long run, not in short run. Why? Because the companies eventually grows. So that's why mutual fund is a process where companies can raise fund from the public. Okay, so that's why private sectors were allowed, because private sectors are, as I have mentioned, very specific and competitive with high tech, resources, I would say, that helps in growing. Okay, so when they grow, public sector will also learn from them. They will also compete and pop up the different I would say in mutual funds. There are lots of mutual funds. Maybe before it was not that good, but now it is good. Why? Because private sectors are there. They are competing. They are trying to boost and give more profit to the public. So when public are attracted to private sectors, public sector will also work equally so that they can also attract the investors. So for that healthy competition, government has allowed private sector to set up mutual fund. Okay, you do not know to go in details now what kind of what are Nifty 50, Nifty 500, Nifty 100, or what is benchmark indexes. You don't have to go to that, but at least know what is mutual fund. Okay. So opening up capital market of India. So opening up capital market of India to FII. So what is FII now? Foreign investors. That means foreign institutional investors. Am I correct? Yes, foreign institutional investors. That means that the foreign institutes, that means big institutes who deal with stock market, can come and directly invest in India, companies. Suppose I am saying there are certain scenarios when I would say, okay, so there is analysis. Okay, if I am buying a share of a company, I will analyze the fundamental. Who are the promoters? Promoters mean the owners. Okay, the main owners of the company, board of directors. And then after that, I come up with who are the how many percentage DII has and how many percentage of shares FII has. So DII and FII are major role. That means if foreign institutional investors, they are pro, they know, right? And then the domestic institutional investors. That is in India itself. Those are institutions that invest in large capital in companies. When their shares are growing, that means the company is also growing. The company has some potential, that's why they are investing. And the shares are booming. Why? Profitability, capital raise, right? Because foreign institutions and domestic institutions are interested in buying because they have potential to grow in future. That way, if you are cunning and you invest in those stocks which are booming, you will also get profit because the company is profiting. That's why they are investing. And why company is able to profit? Because we as a public and they as a foreign institution investors and domestic institutional investors, they are able to invest and give the capital that is required to run the business for a company. So to make the company run business only, this capital market has been formulated. Okay, this was reformed. Before it was strict, now it has been eased. That means capital market, Indian capital market has opened up to foreign investors also, they can come and invest directly. Private sectors, that means that mutual fund was before UTI public, now private sectors, for healthy competition to come up with more good mutual fund schemes. Okay. Then in short now I am explaining, which will be more easy for you to understand. Before I went in depth, because if somebody is interested, they can learn. Now if you are not getting those points that where I explained in depth, you can directly understand that I have explained now about this, that capital market has been opened for foreign investors. Foreign investors means people from foreigners who can come and invest for, capital can be provided to the company to run the business. Okay, capital market means to run the business of the companies. Then SEBI regulatory board, that means what? Security Exchange Board of India, that is a regulatory board just like RBI. RBI is for banking sector, this is for stock market capital sector. Okay, allowing FDI, that means like foreign direct investment. Directly foreigners can come and invest now. The companies can come and invest and come up with a partnership so that they can exchange their values with each other. Like one have good technology, one have good idea. They can exchange now and grow the business. Okay, partnership. Private sector, I have mentioned private sector mutual funds for healthy competition. Now I think you got, as I have in nutshell explained you this briefly these points. This is enough to understand. You don't need to go in depth. Previously I gave it a depth because people are very interested now. So I have given you an overview. Okay. So this is completed. Now 1991 economic reforms in India is this 5 points. Okay. First one, let me okay. So let me explain you the key learning from this session. First was economic reform, and then the second is economic reform policies. Okay, that means what? What was the first policy? Key learning, what you learned? That is new industrial policy. Second is new trade policy, monetary policy reform, capital market reform, and the last point was, and then again was fiscal reform. These were the reforms that helped in boosting the economy of India. So I hope you got this point. The next chapter, because this is little bit I would say lengthy. So liberalization, privatization, globalization. I will explain in next class. Then impact of globalization and liberalization in India. Obstacles to globalization in India. What obstacle came and what are the benefit or positive impact and negative impact. I will explain after liberalization and globalization in India. Okay. Then this chapter will be completed. In the next video I am going to complete the chapter, and then unit 4. This is going to be a vast session about planning that we have learned before, right? Planning, controlling. Yes. So this will come. Now this is the end of the session today. This video is going to be lengthy because I have explained in details about the points and sub-points, and it is very important for you to have an overview and understanding. Might be you not need to explain the sub-points, but it is very important for you to gain the idea, because these are basic points and you will get this in very vast in the future, in the long run. So you need to learn this, and this will also help in day-to-day life. Even if after 18 plus you want to do stock market, mutual fund, what is mutual fund, what is Nifty 50 index, benchmark 500, 100, this is going to be very crucial for you. If you learn it, you will be able to understand the market very easily. So you have to also know, and you also have to have an awareness. I think some of you also already have an overview about what is equity, preference share and non-dividend in the accountancy subject, right? So today I am going to end the class here. If you suppose have a question, please comment down below. I will definitely answer to the questions. Apart from that, watch the video twice, 100 times if you do not understand these points. Okay, it will take time for you to understand. Repetitively watch the video.
rewind it, okay, because it is going to be a vast lengthy video I have seen, more than 30 minutes I took for only to give you the information about the reforms only. Maybe in exam you don't need to go in depth, you need to write the points and sub points, again I am mentioning it. But for the knowledge and for the long run, for the vast knowledge and like if you have a base idea now, when you go for the graduation, post graduation, you will need it in finance, in accountancy, you will need all those points. So it's better to learn it now only, have an idea about it. Okay. So I hope you are very clear, and I am working very hard to, and today I took much of the time to only explain these points. This is going to come in long answer type questions. So even after that, if you have any sort of query, please comment down below. I will definitely answer your questions. Today we are going to end it here, wrapping up the video. You have a great day ahead. Thank you for being patient and watching my videos. Keep supporting me. Have a great day. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share with your friends and families. Bye-bye.